We have John here, and John's already starting off the conversation. Penn State smothers Purdue at Happy Valley in surprising fashion. I guess let's start there, Sonny. Okay, so Penn State, this game was a 11-point win for Penn State, but I think most people would agree it was bigger than that for most of the game. I mean, this was probably more like a 20-point win, and Purdue kind of rallies late there. Credit to them for trying to get back into the game, but for the most part, that game was over when they started getting back into it. What was your takeaway from this Penn State Purdue game? Do you think like this is more bad news for Purdue, good news for Penn State? What's your thoughts here?
Probably a combination of both. You're right. The fact that I didn't realize that the final score ended up only being a difference of 11. That's good on Purdue because that loss is going to seem a lot worse than I thought it was going to look, come March. But there's two teams, and one which we're going to talk about later, which I got to watch this week, and I'm like, that's a really, really well-coached team. And Penn State with Mike Rhodes is just one of them. There's a game plan out there on how to beat Purdue. Marquette showed it to you, and Penn State kind of has the guys to do the same thing, and they did it. And they essentially did it to perfection. Purdue, how do I be nice? Purdue's a very good basketball team and a team that's going to finish top 3 in the Big Ten Conference. But all of us kept trying to tell those fans that, hey, when you lose a generational player, arguably the greatest college basketball player of all time, don't just automatically assume that you're going to finish in first again in the Big Ten. Braden Smith is a fantastic college basketball player, but he's not like an elite of elite basketball player, right? He can be taken advantage of because, unfortunately, things that he can't control. He's smaller. And when you take Braden Smith out of the game, Purdue doesn't have a secondary ball handler. You saw it today. I don't have the turnover numbers in front of me, but TKR, I believe, had 7 turnovers. Anytime they take Braden Smith out of the game, that offense just stalls. And I think we got a glimpse of that today.
Yeah, when Braden Smith was out there in the first half, you could tell like there was just nothing. Purdue had nothing, and you tried to go to TKR down in the post, but I mean I've been saying it all season long. Take away the right hand. If you take away TKR's right hand, he really has no other response. And there was one time when he tried to go left hand, and when he tried to go left hand, he bobbled the ball and dropped it. It's like the dude doesn't have a left hand, which is fine. I'm not trying to dog the guy. Like I still think he's a good player, but he just doesn't have a left hand. And Niederhosen, however you pronounce that name, I love the name, but however you pronounce it, like that guy is a dude, and that guy was the missing piece to this Penn State team, I feel like, because now they have somebody that can not only guard down low, but they can also guard the perimeter so much more aggressively. Because if they do get by you, you have somebody else down low who can be that rim protector. It's kind of the antithesis of what's going on with Ohio State right now. Like they cannot aggressively guard outside because they don't have anybody down low to be the rim protector. Now I'm sure we'll talk about them later. I'm not excited to do that, but let's keep talking about Penn State for a minute, okay? Give me a break. But at the end of the day, like this Penn State team, they are a much better put together team. They are a very good defensive team, and they have the offense with Nick Kern, Zach Hicks, Puff Johnson. Ace Baldwin didn't even score for like the first like 30 minutes of this game, or 20 minutes of this game. He hardly even scored. I'm trying to find out exactly how much it was. If I go to the
And I'm about, while you're looking it up, like I can bring up the
yeah,
fact,
he had 4
Ace
points
Baldwin.
in the first half. 4 points in
Wow.
the first half. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna, the comment that Ace Baldwin made before essentially in the pregame, where I guess I don't know if it was a radio host or a podcast guy or who it was, basically asked Ace Baldwin, "Who are you looking most forward to guarding?" And Ace said, "The point guard at Purdue." And the podcast host followed up, "Oh, you mean Braden Smith?" And he's like, "Yeah, the guy who's supposed to be the best player in the country," or something like that. Purdue fans didn't like that. They felt like Braden Smith deserves a little bit more respect. Well, what happened? Today, I mean, it would have been nicer if Ace had come out with 20-25. But Penn State, again, very convincing win. Braden Smith, usually when Braden Smith has bad games, he's just non-existent. He was bad today. He was just not a very good basketball player today. And that's something that you don't usually see.
Yeah, Braden Smith in this game, only 6 points, 3 for 5, so it wasn't like he missed a bunch of shots. Fletcher Lawyer was the other one. He was 3 for 10, 1 for 4 from 3, but he did 8 of 8 of his free throws. But Braden Smith in this one, 3 fouls, 3 turnovers. He did have 5 assists, so still a high assist number up there. But I mean, with this Penn State defense, like, sure, I think we can definitely talk about the weaknesses of Braden Smith, and they're there, right? But for me, like, and I'm not trying to take anything away from that discussion, but for me, like, this was all Penn State's defense and how
Yeah.
aggressive they were and how much, I mean, the press was killing Purdue for most of this game. You have 5 turnovers in this game from Fletcher Lawyer. You're exactly right. They don't have anybody else to be that primary ball handler if Braden Smith isn't out there. Cam Heide, he looked like he was lost in this game. Played 20 minutes, scored 0 points. There was one time when it was kind of like a back and forth. Like Penn State got the ball and they turned it over under their own hoop, and then Cam Heide went up for a layup. He misses a layup, and then just Penn State gets the ball, goes right down the court right away, and puts up a shot and makes it. And like to me, that was the summary of this entire game. Like Penn State was just more opportunistic, more confident, and that's crazy to see. I haven't seen a team play more confident against Purdue since the national championship game was like the first time I saw that in like 2 or 3 years, and so to see it again tonight coming from Penn State, I think that's huge for him, and I think Mike Rhodes has got this team down the right path.
Yeah, I think in a year or two, when Rhodes has more of his players in his system, I think Penn State's going to be one of those teams that is going to be one to watch out for. Finish out of the top 6, top 7. I mean, honestly, that could even happen this year, at least from what I saw today.
Yeah, I agree. I will say, so like I don't think we'll continue to see this all season from Purdue. I think Matt Painter is too good of a coach for this to continue to happen all year. I mean, they're going to make adjustments, they're going to get better, but it's clear that there is an athleticism weakness to this team. Like you can out athlete this Purdue team, which is kind of what we saw from Penn State tonight. Like we saw the scrappy defense, but then with that as well, we saw a more athletic team than Purdue was. Like at the end of the day, I think that's probably the key to it.
But that's exactly it, right, JR? Like for me, it's not that Purdue is a bad basketball team. Not at all. Again, for me, it's still clearly a top 3 Big Ten team. But the things that we talked about today, I don't know if they can fix. Braden Smith, or actually it's not having a secondary ball handler, it's hard to just teach that mid-season. Not having the guys athletically to compete with other teams who can throw out athletes at you. That's not something necessarily you can make an adjustment roster-wise. And now, is Matt Painter a good enough coach to overcome that? Most of us are going to give him the benefit of the doubt, but the season's going to be a lot tougher for Boilermaker fans than they were making it out to be.
Yeah, I agree.